Anytime it looks like somebody new, or in this case, kind of new, is about to break in and do something maybe fresh, maybe interesting in this space, I get a little bit excited. So today I'm going to tell you everything that we currently know, which granted isn't a ton, but there's a lot to dig in here that I don't see being talked about elsewhere, about the company called Nothing, very confusing name, and their new phone called the Phone 1. So if you have no idea what I'm talking about, this company called Nothing is a relatively new company who so far has only released a set of wireless earbuds. And it's ran by a guy named Carl Pei, who you may know from OnePlus. Because a long time ago, like 2012, 2013, Carl Pei, along with a guy named Pete Lau, founded OnePlus. And they went on to make some really excellent smartphones at really excellent prices. And by doing so, they generated quite the following. People really loved OnePlus phones. I actually own one. It's right here serving as my down on the table facing camera. But back in 2022, just as it felt like OnePlus was maybe beginning to peak and maybe beginning to meander into a place it shouldn't be going, that's when Carl Pei said, I'm out, I'm going to go do my own thing. And he shortly after started Nothing. And August 17th of 2021, they did release the Nothing Ear 1s. Now, these things are insane looking. They're clear, they're see-through, they look really, really cool. And the reviews of them were relatively positive. I mean, they didn't shake up the world, they didn't take over for the AirPods, but they seem to be a pretty decent set of wireless earbuds. And I think this was actually really, really smart by Nothing and by Carl Pei, because similarly to what Essential did, when they formed, they went straight to make a phone. And the phone was pretty good, but I think they were in a little bit over their heads a little bit. Whereas with this, they said, let's do earbuds first. Let's actually get some of the supply chain stuff rolling and get the earbuds done, and then we'll come back around to a phone. I think this was very intelligent. But then on March the 23rd, just a couple of short days ago, Carl Pei hosted this online only, this digital event to talk about what was coming next, and this would be a smartphone. Now you'll see this image here. This is a concept. I'm not telling you this is what the Phone 1 will look like, but we have some reason to think that maybe this is going to be similar to what it's going to look like based on the design cues of the Nothing Ear 1s and some stuff that we see in the video. This was a concept made by Ben Geskin, which is a great person to follow on Twitter. Has a lot of really great stuff going on their Twitter account. This was something they came up with, and this may very well look similar to what this thing will eventually look like. But no, they didn't actually show the thing off directly, but they did talk quite a bit, and like I said, there's quite a bit to dig into here. So one of the biggest things that we know about the Nothing Phone 1 is that it will be running a fork of Android that they're calling Nothing OS. He more or less just said, hey, we're going to reduce the bloat as much as we can. We're not going to do the Samsung thing where we're going to have duplication of apps. We're not going to have the Google Calendar app and then our calendar app, right? We're not going to replicate functionality when the Google apps are already there and they're already very good. He also does talk about something with RAM management though. He spent a little bit of time talking about how the Nothing OS will look at what apps you use most frequently, and it will actually pre-cache those apps into RAM, basically staging them so that they will launch more quickly. And then apps that you don't use very often, or apps that are very energy inefficient and might be killing your battery, well, they're going to do things to minimize that as well. This is stuff that maybe isn't brand new, but it's good to hear that they're thinking about these kinds of things, trying to make Nothing OS very smooth, very lightweight, and very efficient. And as we get a look here at their home screen, I'll tell you that he also did promise 3 years of actual OS updates, which seems to almost be the new standard now, and then 4 years of security patches. Now you may notice that these things all have a very consistent design. If we go back up here to the Nothing Ear 1s and you look at their font here, these dots and so forth, well, this stuff is translating all the way through everything that they're doing. And he talked about having a unified and consistent feel. So you've got your clock here on the lock screen. Well, he said that clock will remain in the same spot on your always on display, your lock screen, and your home screen. So that as you move through the device, you just have a lot of consistent design cues that's going to make this thing feel well designed and like there's not been many corners cut, just consistent, polished feel. He He also talked a lot about their ecosystem. Well, right now the ecosystem is one device, and with Phone 1 it'll be 2 devices. But what he said about the ecosystem is that it's going to be open. So you'll notice here at one point they showed a set of AirPods connected to the Nothing Phone 1, and it's showing the battery level there in the notification shade in your quick settings. That is something we've not done on Android, at least not to my knowledge. And he's opening this up so that other third-party companies can have features like this. He also referenced Tesla as well. So good to see this kind of openness. And while we don't know what this system on a chip is going to be the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1? We really don't know, but we do know that it is going to be powered by Qualcomm. Something he did mention was that it was going to be energy efficient. Should that maybe be taken to mean that they're going to go with a mid-range processor to really extend the battery life? I don't know. I will be okay with that. And I think the most surprising thing about this to me was that he said that their launcher that they're working on, they're actually going to release that in the Google Play Store in April for select devices. I'm going to guess that people like me who use a Surface Duo 2 or a Z Fold device probably not going to work great for us, but if you have other phones like a Pixel or something else, you may very well be able to download and install the Nothing launcher, whatever they're going to call this thing, and get an early glimpse at what the Nothing Phone 1 is going to look like when it launches. And it looks like that launch will take place in summer of 2022, so we don't have very much longer to wait for that. And as you see on this image here, they showed this image and said this is what the thing's going to look like. And you may be thinking, how does a phone look like that? Well, if you take that and then you go back up to this concept that we had here from Ben, you can kind of see where he got his thinking from there. Kind of makes a bit more sense now, I imagine. So yeah, there you go. That's pretty much everything we currently know about the Nothing Phone 1. I actually am excited. I love seeing someone new enter the fray. Just like with Essential, I was very excited about that. I'm very excited about the Nothing Phone 1 because it also harkens back to that OnePlus way of doing things where you cut down on the middlemen, right? You do this thing online and you do it yourself and you reduce cost by doing that. And Carl Pei has said, that's the goal. That's what we want to do. So might this thing come in at a reduced price as well? Would love to see that happen. A cool, different, unique looking phone with some unique ideas, hopefully coming very soon. Guys, thanks for making it to the end of today's video. I'll see you on the next one. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.